was just after 3 a.m. when Quebec erupted into sudden chaos. What started as a silent early morning snowfall exploded into violence within minutes. Thick, wet snow pounded the streets of Montreal, engulfing cars, burying sidewalks, and turning major highways into treacherous ice rinks. Drivers who believed they had total control suddenly spun wildly across lanes with no grip whatsoever. Branches cracked under the brutal weight of heavy snow, crashing onto power lines and bursting into explosive showers of sparks. Neighborhoods plunged into darkness block by block, as Hydro-Quebec reported nearly 400,000 homes powerless before sunrise. Sirens wailed through the biting cold, while visibility vanished into nothingness. On Highway 40, headlights vanished behind a blinding white curtain of swirling snow, as vehicles slammed into each other in a devastating chain reaction pileup. This wasn't the storm Montreal anticipated. It wasn't even supposed to strike this fiercely. But winter unleashed a single savage blow, blindsiding the entire province. 3 o'clock in the morning, then after 3. For much of the weekend, the system appeared harmless. A weak low-pressure zone drifting across the Great Lakes promised nothing more than light flurries. But late Sunday night, the atmosphere flipped unpredictably. A surge of warm, moisture-laden air surged north from the U.S., smashing directly into a pocket of early-season Arctic air entrenched over the St. Lawrence Valley. This temperature clash, usually stretched over hundreds of miles, squeezed into a razor-thin band right over Montreal. That's when the storm detonated. Snowfall rampaged, escalating from soft flakes to heavy, wet globs that glued instantly to every surface. Temperatures teetered perilously near freezing, triggering snowmelt-refreeze cycles in mere minutes. What hit as snow in one neighborhood turned to freezing rain in the next, and ice pellets just blocks away. It was the ultimate nightmare formula. Dense wet snow, near-freezing air, lightning-fast atmospheric flips, wind gusts whipping moisture bands east and west without warning. Meteorologists frantically updated models in real time, but by the time warnings hit, destruction was already raging. This wasn't a typical early winter storm. It was an atmospheric assassination. As the storm raged harder, the province's power grid crumbled in a crisis it never saw coming. It wasn't the snow totals that shattered the system. It was the snow's deadly type. Heavy, wet early-season snow-plastered trees, still loaded with leaves. Branches bowed, drooped, then shattered like thunderclaps across silent suburbs. Each plummeting limb hammered power lines like a sledge, ripping cables into snow-choked streets. By 5 a.m., Hydro-Quebec's outage map blazed red. Nearly 400,000 homes and businesses blacked out. Hospitals flipped to emergency generators. Traffic lights died across Montreal. Apartment towers sank into total darkness floor by floor. In Montargis, entire neighborhoods vanished from the grid in seconds as multiple feeders buckled under crushed tree limbs. Crews battled to reach devastation zones, but trucks skidded on unplowed, ice-slick roads, and the peril surged beyond outages. With temperatures clinging near freezing, unheated homes plunged into life-threatening cold. Families desperately piled on blankets. Some fired up cars in driveways, a deadly gamble as snow kept dumping. This wasn't mere power loss. It was infrastructure imploding under nature's fury. And it was just the start. As dawn clawed through, the storm unveiled its second catastrophe. The roads. What seemed like innocent slush at 3 a.m. hardened into invisible black ice by sunrise. Drivers stepping out slipped wildly before touching their cars. Highways morphed into death traps. City streets became lethal lotteries. On Highway 40, visibility evaporated in minutes as blowing snow whipped across lanes. One car spun out, and in seconds, another crashed into it, then another. In an instant, the calm morning commute exploded into a 20-car carnage. Metal twisted, windshields exploded. Dash cams captured trucks jackknifing, buses sliding sideways, sedans helplessly smashing guardrails. Emergency responders fought to arrive. Ambulances inched through ice-lock gridlock while police begged, "Stay home. Do not drive unless life depends on it." In Montreal's neighborhoods, chaos reigned supreme. Intersections iced over first, ambushing pedestrians. People crashed crossing streets. Bikes toppled. Parked cars drifted downhill unaided. Even snow plows, Canada's winter warriors, fought for traction. Canada braces for winter. But this storm was a monster, unpredictable, shape-shifting, merciless to every error. As pileups snowballed and neighborhoods vanished into dark, Quebec's emergency forces hit breaking point. By mid-morning, over 1,000 Hydro-Quebec workers, dozens of fire crews, police squads, and paramedics swarmed the province. But every call screamed urgency, every roadblock doom. Response crawled, not from laziness, but because the storm twisted Quebec into a labyrinth of black ice, toppled trees, and live wire snaking streets. Firefighters in Laval waded knee-deep snow to free an elderly couple trapped behind a power-failed door frozen solid. In Montreal East, paramedics ditched their ambulance and trekked on foot to save a critically injured driver from a highway wreck. Hospitals roared on generators as clinics canceled care. Staff toiled under dim backups, while halls packed with cold seekers. In smaller towns like Montérégie and Lanaudière, neighbors turned heroes. Snowmobilers ferried the stranded. Others doled out blankets, steaming drinks, or opened garages to warm freezing kids. Amid the mayhem, one truth shone. The storm floored Quebec, but its people refused to let anyone suffer solo. This wasn't just a snowstorm. It was the perfect atmospheric death trap. Meteorologists revealed Quebec perched on a knife-edge temperature line. Warm air blasted from the south. Arctic cold plunged from the north. The St. Lawrence Valley funneled them into a vice. The result, a weather bomb ticking by the minute. Hundreds of feet up, air melted snow to rain. At ground level, it flash froze. That's why some areas drowned in wet snow. Others pinged with ice pellets, and more glazed in freezing rain. The true terror looms post-storm. Forecasters warn. Temperatures spike briefly, melting snow to slush, then plummet overnight. This flash freeze turns wet roads to black ice in under an hour. Wet-looking pavement becomes deadly. Safe-seeming sidewalks turn fatal. Even interstates could ice into rinks before dawn. Experts brand early season storms the deadliest, erratic, explosive, blindsiding millions, even winter-tough Canada. Across Quebec, the storm didn't just snap trees and lines, it shattered normalcy. Parents jolted awake in icy bedrooms, bundling kids in frantic layers. In high-rises, elevators died, stranding elders without heat, light, or escape. Grocery stores cracked open late, dimly lit, workers heaving spoiled food from dead fridges. On Montreal streets, queues snaked outside cafes, not for lattes, but warmth. Phone charges. Some cradled towel-wrapped tets. Others just sat, quaking ceased. In rural Laurentide, with stoves fed whole blocks, kids delivered soup door to door. One Saguenay family sheltered 3 neighbors as homes hit below 40 degrees. A woman trudged 2 miles through blizzard to reach her disabled friend after silence fell. In the blackout, solidarity outran the storm. Snow isolated towns, but Quebecers vowed no one froze alone. As the storm finally retreats from Quebec, one reality endures. This was no routine early winter hit. It was a wake-up call. A scream about how fast hell can descend. A glare at infrastructure too fragile for tomorrow's fury. A alert. Future storms will strike harder, swifter, sooner. Power still out for thousands. Roads slick with refreezing slush. Trees splintered over yesterday's autumn streets. As night temps crash, black ice and blackouts lurk. But amid ruin, resilience blazes. People who won't quit, won't let neighbors fall. If you crave coverage that slices chaos, track storms live, delivers raw human moments in extreme weather. Smash like, subscribe, hit notifications. Your backing amps our reach. Arms communities when tempests hit. Stay safe, stay ready. We'll deliver the updates that save lives.